As a small business owner, have you ever felt overwhelmed by the pressure of choosing the right hire or leading a team? Or have you ever found yourself tolerating a bad hire because you fear trying and failing again as you repeat the hiring process? If so, you're not alone, and you are in the right place. Welcome to the Growing Your Team podcast. The Growing Your Team podcast teaches business owners like you to expand your unique business by teaching you to master the hiring and team management process. Hiring and managing a team does not have to be a challenge. You just have to learn to do it right. And the Growing Your Team podcast teaches you how to become a confident leader who hires right every single time. Now, let's jump into the show where each episode you will learn tips on how to identify what type of help you need on your team, how to source amazing candidates, how to conduct interviews that lead you to your ideal team member, how to onboard successfully, and how to lead every person in your business so you have a team of rock stars who you are happy to pay every single paycheck. So let's jump in and teach you how to hire like a pro. Hello, Jamie Van Kuyk here, and welcome back to the Growing Your Team podcast. Today, let's talk about job titles. This is a question I get a lot when I am speaking to groups is, does the job title matter on a job posting? And the answer is yes, 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 100% yes, it does. The job title is one of the few things, and sometimes the only thing a candidate sees before they click on the post to take them to learn more about the job. The other things that they typically see is the name of your company, but that really doesn't tell them much about the job. It might tell them a little bit about the industry, but not much about the job, and the location. So is it in office? If so, what's the rough address? Is it remote? And things like that. Anything more that they see is going to be dependent on the job board. Some show a little snippet of the job post, some don't show anything. So the job title is the one job-specific thing, position-specific thing that they see before clicking to see more. So this is why that job title is so important, because it tells a candidate, yeah, this is the type of job you're looking for, or no, just keep on going. Don't click on this. So with the job title, small things matter. So you want to be clear about what the job is in many different ways. And some of the advice I'm going to give you here today actually goes against what some job boards will tell you to put in this field. But we have tested this. We have proven that this works, which is why I'm sharing this with you. So first off, let me just give you some examples of why a job title does matter. I was working with a client recently, and we suggested through the research and everything that they use a specific job title. They ended up using just a fraction of the entire job title that we gave them, and they got a lot of candidates when they posted that job. I think it was over 200 candidates within the first week or so that it was posted. I think it was actually less than a week. Over 200 candidates. Majority of them were not really qualified for the job. And the reason they were not qualified for the job is, they were qualified for the job title that was put out on the job board, but the rest of the title we suggested that they use narrowed down the people that would be looking for a job of that title. And so we said, scrap that post it again with this title that we're telling you to post, and see what happens. And when they did that, they ended up getting a much smaller candidate pool, but candidates that were qualified for the job. So yes, they got fewer candidates, but they got more quality candidates. So the job title does matter. With another client example, they really wanted us to go out with the title project manager. We told them this role really isn't a project manager role. So we think for the job posting, we need to use this other job title. Because we talk about project management responsibilities here, but most job seekers are not looking, that are going to fulfill these job requirements, are not looking for a project manager title. Well, this client insisted on putting out that project manager title. So we said, okay, at the end of the day, we're here to guide our clients, but at the same time, we're gonna listen to our clients and things that maybe they know better than us. We're gonna try it, or at least we'll try what they have to say and come back and make changes if needed, because we understood that the job title was something we could always change later. When we posted it with the project manager title, we got 0 applicants. Why? Because people that were project managers looking for a project manager title would then click on the job and say, oh, no. This isn't a project manager role. Yes, it has project management responsibilities, but it's a subset of the role, and I'm not interested. So after getting no candidates, we went back to the client and said, we really suggest that we use this title on the job. So we changed the title. And within a few days, I was passing them on 3 highly qualified candidates for the job for them to interview, because once we changed the title, the right people clicked on the position, the right people applied, and it made all the difference in the process. So with the first position, I didn't really say what change we made. Obviously, the second one, we went from a project manager title to, I believe it was a business development title. So business development's kind of a language that's used in a lot of industries for sales, that it's that long sales cycle. So for the first clients that I was talking about, this was a client in the interior design space, and we were hiring for, I believe it was a purchasing coordinator was the title that we were using. A purchasing coordinator is a title that's used across many, many, many industries. So we had said, don't just put purchasing coordinator, put purchasing coordinator interior design, or something like that to signify this is a position in the interior design industry. So at first they just went out with purchasing coordinator, and they got a lot of people who did have purchasing coordinating experience, but because of some of the qualifications for this position, really needed someone with interior design experience. So once on that second posting they did in purchasing coordinator - interior design, it made the huge difference. And the reason why I wanted to come back and talk about that is a lot of times on job boards, they'll tell you, don't put descriptors in the job title, or industries or things like that. It should just be the job title. So they would advise you on a job board to just put purchasing coordinator. Don't put interior design. It doesn't make a difference. It's just bloated words on a job title. But I'm here to tell you, forget what the job board tells you. Sometimes what they consider those bloated words on a job title really make all the difference. With our client, and it hasn't been just this client, it made all the difference because it's helped narrow down who clicks on it. We've also done a lot of projects in the legal space, helping to hire attorneys, and some of our positions being bilingual in specific languages because of the type of clients that they are working with was a requirement. So especially when we're posting positions on pay-per-click sites, putting that description of Spanish speaking ability is required or bilingual being required in the job title, it reduces the number of people that click on it, so we're more likely to have the right people click on it. So don't be afraid to put descriptors in that title if needed. The other thing we'll talk about real quickly about job titles making a difference is when it comes to level. So in a small company, you might call someone a director because you really want them to see that they are a leader of this organization. They are at a higher level position. However, because you're a small company, they're also going to be doing manager level tasks. So there's a lot of hierarchy within organizations that when it comes to leadership, manager is typically one of the lower titles, then director, then it could go to senior director, executive director, VP, then chief, whatever. So you might say director, you might say senior director or whatever, but they're still doing some of that lower level manager title activities. So this is a case where a lot of times we say, I don't care what you're going to call that person once they're on your team. We need to make sure that we put the right title to attract the right job seeker. So if I put, and I'm just going to throw rough numbers, these might not be anywhere the right numbers for where you live or anything like that, but let's say I'm going to put a director of operations position out there, but then my pay is going to be $50,000 a year, that might not line up with where other director of operation positions are pay scale wise in the area where you're hiring. So you're going to be on this list of positions, but not really match those other positions that are there once they go and click on more details. So it could be, even though you're going to call this person a director, on a job posting, you need to put manager of operations. So that way the right people click on it. And then you can have that higher title once you go to offer them the position and talk to them. And, this is a really key position in our organization. So we are going to give you the director of operations title instead of a manager of operations. But you want to make sure that your job is showing up with the right positions. So how do we go about finding the right title for a position? Mostly, we go to job boards and see what else is using that title. We say, does this position line up with those positions? And occasionally when you go and search a job title, you'll get other jobs on that list every once in a while that have slightly different titles. So we'll click on those too. And if those seem to be a match, then we'll do some research on those titles to see where should this be. We make sure that the level of leadership, the level of authority, the level of responsibility match up. If it doesn't, try one above it, try one below it to see really what is that right level of authority base that connects to that title. We'll do things typing in, the industry, to see what happens when we do this. Does it change things? So we'll go to job boards and just do a search to see what is using that job title and narrow things down. There are plenty of times when our clients will tell us we want to call a job this. We think it aligns with that. But then when we actually go out and do the research, we're like, oh, no. That job title is never going to get you the right candidates because the people that are looking for that job title are looking for a completely different job. And yes, there's some things that sound similar with what you're doing, but it's not the same job. So we suggest this job title instead. The other thing is, in a small business, sometimes your jobs are a hodgepodge of roles and responsibilities. So you might say, I have no idea what to call this because it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and everything. If that's where you are, sometimes we say, instead of going to a job board and researching job titles, go to a job board and start researching tasks, responsibilities, and things like that fall under this. One of our very first clients back, I think it was like over 5 years ago now, we had to do this for. They were a small business. They were really kind of in a unique but growing industry. We couldn't go to other companies in the industry to say, hey, what is this position being called? Because it didn't exist in that industry. They were really new to everything, to leading this. So we said, okay, what do we call this job? And so we started doing a lot of research just based on roles and responsibilities. And this was a job they had a really hard time filling before. And we ended up finding out that the job title was actually a title that worked for them, was a title that was used by a completely different industry. It's something that we would have never thought of. But when we started pulling roles and responsibilities in the job board, this title kept coming up over and over again. And so many of the tasks aligned. But it was actually a job title that was used in the theater industry. And this was a job in the theater industry that was actually just being pulled out and put in another industry. But it was kind of back of behind the scenes, building a lot of the scenery and things like that. So once we saw that job title and we saw those responsibilities, we're like, oh my gosh, it is this job pulled out to this other industry. So we were able to use that job title that they were using in finding people with all those skills that were like, yeah, I just like doing what I'm doing. I don't care that it's not in this industry. And so having that job title change and using that job title from that other, borrowing it from that other industry, gave them so many great candidates, because once people saw that job title that were looking for jobs like that, they clicked on it and read the description and said, yes, this is for me. So just to go and conclude for today is your job title makes all the difference on job boards. It is what's going to make someone click to go and read about your job. So if your job title doesn't align with what the job is, you're either not going to get candidates at all, because people are going to click through, read the job posting and say, no, that's not for me, or you're going to get flooded with unqualified candidates, people that don't really go, and this happens all the time, even the great candidates do this, don't go and read every detail about the job, but they say, hey, I want just going to throw it out there, project manager position. So this is a project manager position. I'm going to apply. And they don't have the industry background that you're looking for. They don't have the other qualifications that really matter. Or they think when they do read the job posting that, okay, maybe that's some wiggle room in there. So let me go and just apply and see what happens. So when you use the right job title, you might get fewer candidates. You might get more candidates depending on what it is, what the job title is. But either way, you are going to get better candidates. So make sure you do your due diligence to make sure you're using a job title on your job board that matches the job. Once again, internally, you can call that person whatever you want. You can call them the unicorn of organizational development internally, whatever it is. But if you put the unicorn of organizational development on a job board, chances are you're not going to get a lot of candidates clicking through. So what is that job title that's going to get someone to click to say, yep, I've read the job post. It is me. Let me apply. So do your due diligence, find the right title. And if that's something that you need help with, we're here to help you. And that wraps up this episode of the Growing Your Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss new episodes. And if your favorite podcast app has the ability, leave a review and let us know what you love about the show. As you wait for the next episode, be sure to follow Growing Your Team on Instagram at Growing Your Team, or head on over to growingyourteam.com to access more resources and learn how growing your team can support you as you master the art of hiring.